Devin Reed opened his eyes to white lights and the smell of disinfectant. Every muscle in his body screamed. His left arm had been bandaged, his ribs wrapped tight. Blood had dried on his face from a cut above his eye. He tried to sit up and nearly blacked out from the pain. The last thing he remembered was the arena. 24 hours of pure survival against creatures that could tear through steel. He had volunteered for this, knowing full well what it meant. Earth needed a seat on the Galactic Council. Resources, technology, a future. Someone had to take the test, and Devin had been the only one stupid enough to raise his hand. The gauntlet of proofs. That was what they called it. A trial designed to see if a species had what it took to join the council. Devin had studied the statistics before volunteering. 3,000 attempts over the last century. 9 survivors. A survival rate so low that most species sent criminals or volunteers they wanted dead that he had survived. Somehow, the door hissed open. A reptilian figure entered, scales gleaming blue-green under the lights. Kel, the arbiter, the official who oversaw the trials. His yellow eyes fixed on Devin with something that might have been surprise or respect. It was hard to tell with alien faces. Human Devin Reed, Kel said, his translator turning the hisses and clicks into words. You live. This is unexpected. Devin coughed, tasted copper. Yeah, well, surprised me too. The council observers wish to know how you survived. The creatures in the arena have killed warriors twice your size. Species with natural armor, with venom, with abilities your kind does not possess. Kel moved closer, studying Devin like a puzzle. What did you do? Devin thought back to those 24 hours. The Shriek Hunters had come first. Pack predators with crystalline spines that could launch like missiles. They had circled him, testing his defenses. Most fighters would have attacked, try to kill the alpha. Devin had done something else. He had noticed one of them limping, a spine broken and infected. While the pack tested him, he had slowly approached the wounded one. No sudden moves. No threats. Just calm, steady energy that he had cleaned the wound with supplies from his kit. Basic veterinary work. The kind of thing he had done 1,000 times back on Earth with injured wolves and bears. The pack had watched, confused. When the wounded hunter stood and rejoined them, something changed. They had stopped seeing him as prey. I helped them, Devin said, simply to Kel's head tilted. Help them. One was hurt. I treated her wound. After that, they left me alone. Devin shifted, wincing. The void serpent was next. Big flying thing with camouflage. It kept dive-bombing me, trying to grab me with those claws. I noticed its wing membrane was torn. Every time it flew, it was in pain. I waited until it landed to rest, then approached it slowly. Took me 3 hours to get close enough to apply sealant to the tear. You befriended the trial creatures. Kel's voice held disbelief. This has never been done. The Crimson Stalker was the hardest, Devin continued. Juvenile, maybe a year old. It was starving. The adult stalkers in the arena kept chasing it away from food. It saw me as either prey or competition. I share my rations with it. Took a whole day for it to trust me enough to eat near me. When the adults came for me at the end, the juvenile stood between us, defended me like I was pack. Kel was silent for a long moment. The council is divided on what to do with you. Some believe you are proof that humans are worthy. Others believe you are proof that humans are too dangerous, too unpredictable to be trusted. Devin laughed, then regretted it as pain shot through his ribs. Dangerous because I helped some animals? You turned the galaxy's apex predators into allies in less than a day. Yes, human. That is dangerous. Kel pulled up a holographic display. 3 images appeared. The Shriek Hunter pack leader, the Void Serpent, and the juvenile Crimson Stalker. These 3 have refused food since the trial ended. They are becoming aggressive with handlers. The medical team cannot approach them. They are dying, Devin Reed. And they are calling for you. Devin stared at the images. Luna, he had named the pack leader in his head. Talon for the serpent. Brutus for the young stalker. He had spent a day with them. 1 day in hell. And somehow they had bonded to him. According to council law dating back 6,000 years, if a trial creature bonds with a survivor, that survivor becomes responsible for them. You have a choice. Kel met his eyes. Leave this station, return to Earth, and let them die. Or accept the role of keeper and take responsibility for 3 of the most dangerous creatures in known space. Devin thought about Earth, his small clinic in Montana, the mountains, the quiet life he had left behind. He thought about Luna limping on her infected leg, Talon struggling to fly with torn wings, Brutus starving and alone. Where are they now? Devin asked. Containment level 7. We have prepared a facility. Should you accept? It is not much. Minimum resources. 1 assistant. Devin pushed himself up despite the pain. His body protested, but he ignored it. Take me to them. Kel's eyes widened. You accept. I help them survive. I'm not going to abandon them now. Devin steadied himself against the wall. Besides, someone has to show the galaxy that these creatures are more than just killing machines. The Council will not make this easy for you. There are those who want you gone, who see you as a threat. Let them try. Devin took a step toward the door. I came here expecting to die. Everything after that is a bonus. Kel studied him for another moment, then nodded slowly. Very well, Keeper Devin Reed. Welcome to the hardest job in the galaxy. Try not to get eaten. As they walked through the sterile corridors of Station Omega, Devin felt the weight of his decision settling on his shoulders. He had survived the impossible. Now came the harder part, building trust, creating safety, showing the universe that compassion could work even with creatures designed by evolution to kill. Through a viewport, he could see Earth in the distance, a blue marble against the black. Home. He wondered if he would ever see it again. Then they reached containment level 7, and he heard it. A howl. Luna's voice, crystalline and haunting, calling for him. Devin smiled despite the pain. I am coming. Hold on. His new life was about to begin. The containment units lined the far wall of the industrial bay, each one sealed behind reinforced barriers that could withstand a direct hit from a plasma cannon. Devin limped closer, his body still aching from the trial. Through the transparent aluminum, he could see them. Luna paced in tight circles, her crystalline spines rattling with agitation. The wound on her leg had been cleaned, but not properly treated. She stopped when she saw Devin pressed against the barrier. Her eyes, dark and intelligent, locked onto his. The next unit held Talon. The void serpent hung from the ceiling supports, wings folded. The tear in his membrane had worsened. He could barely fly now. When Devin approached, Talon's head snapped around, and a sound like wind through a canyon echoed in the chamber. Brutus occupied the largest unit. The juvenile Crimson Stalker had grown even in the few hours since the trial. His armored plates were dull, though, malnourished. He lay curled in the corner, but his eyes tracked Devin's every movement. They know you, said a small voice behind Devin. He turned to find his assigned assistant. Pip was barely 4 feet tall, covered in gray-brown fur, with large eyes and delicate hands. Her species, the Velen, were archivists and researchers. Not exactly the type you would expect working with apex predators. I am Pip, she said, her translator rendering her chirps into nervous words. I was told I would be assisting you. I was not told I would be working with death itself. They are not death, Devin said, turning back to the containment units. They are hurt and scared. There is a difference. Hurt and scared things are the most dangerous. True, Devin admitted. That is why we need to help them. Can you get me into Luna's unit? I need to treat that infection properly. Pip's fur stood on end. You want to go inside with the Shriek Hunter? They call them that because their spines can pierce a skull from 50 meters. The scream they make before firing is the last thing most beings hear. Luna will not hurt me, Devin said with more confidence than he felt. We have an understanding. 20 minutes later, Devin stood inside the containment unit. The door sealed behind him with a hiss that sounded far too final. Luna stopped pacing. Her spines rose, not in threat, but in recognition. She limped toward him slowly. Devin knelt, making himself smaller, less threatening. He opened his medical kit and held out his hand. Luna sniffed, then pressed her head against his palm. The crystalline spines were warm to the touch, humming with some internal energy he did not understand. Let me see that leg, girl, Devin murmured. For the next hour, he worked on the wound. It had become infected during the trial, and the medical team's cursory cleaning had not been enough. Devon drained the infection, applied antibiotics synthesized for her biology, and wrapped it properly. Luna never moved, never threatened. She simply watched him with those dark eyes. When he finished, she touched her nose to his forehead, a gesture that looked almost like gratitude. "Okay," Pip's voice crackled over the comm. "I admit that was impressive. Still insane, but impressive." Devon moved to Talon's unit next. The Void Serpent was more challenging. He was in pain, and pain made creatures unpredictable. Devon spent 2 hours just sitting in the unit, letting Talon observe him. Finally, the serpent descended from his perch and extended one wing. The tear was worse than Devon had thought. The membrane was thin, like paper, and the tear went nearly halfway across. Without treatment, Talon would never fly properly again. Devon worked carefully, using medical adhesive and a synthetic patch that would integrate with the membrane over time. Talon remained perfectly still through the entire process. When Devon finished, the serpent made that canyon wind sound again, but softer, almost like a purr. Brutus was the easiest and the hardest. The young stalker bounded to the barrier the moment Devon entered, nearly knocking him over. But he was clearly starving. His armor plates showed gaps where new growth had stopped due to malnutrition. Devon had arranged for proper food to be delivered. Meat from compatible sources, supplements for bone growth. He sat with Brutus while the young predator ate, one hand resting on the armored head. "You are really good at this," Pip said when Devon finally emerged exhausted. She had watched everything from the control room. "What did you learn?" "I worked with predators on Earth," Devon explained. "Wolves, bears, mountain lions. Animals that people feared. Most of the time, they just needed someone who understood them. Earth must be a terrifying place if you consider those predators." Devon smiled. "Earth is a Class 7 death world. We evolve alongside creatures that wanted to eat us. We learn to communicate with them, to coexist. That is what makes humans different. We do not just conquer, we adapt." Over the next week, Devon established routines. Morning checks, feeding times, medical treatments, exercise periods where each creature could move in larger enclosures. Luna's pack instincts meant she needed social interaction. Talon required flight time to strengthen his wing. Brutus needed play and training. Word spread through Station Omega, the human and his monsters. Some species came to watch through the observation windows, morbid curiosity bringing them to the industrial levels. They expected to see Devon torn apart. Instead, they saw him sitting with Luna, scratching behind her spines. They saw Talon gliding through the exercise chamber while Devon monitored his wing. They saw Brutus following Devon like an oversized, armored puppy. "You are making people uncomfortable," Kell told Devon during an inspection. "Ambassador Drex has filed 3 complaints this week. He says you are creating a security risk." "Drex is an idiot," Pip muttered, then covered her mouth with both hands that Kell's eyes showed amusement. "The Keeper has influenced you, little archivist." "These creatures have not threatened anyone," Devon said. "They are secure. They are healing. What is the risk?" "The risk is that you are making the Council look foolish," Kell said quietly. "For 6,000 years, we have used these creatures as trial weapons. You are showing that they can be more. Some Council members do not appreciate that. Some Council members need to get over themselves." That night, Devon sat in his small quarters adjacent to the containment area. Through the wall, he could hear Luna's soft breathing, Talon's occasional movements, Brutus snoring like a chainsaw. Pip brought him a meal, synthetic but edible. "There is a rumor," she said, "that the Council has captured something. Something worse than anything in the Gauntlet. Worse than a Crimson Stalker. Worse than anything." Pip's fur rippled with fear. "They call it a devourer. The species that destroyed 17 civilizations. They're bringing it here." Devon felt his stomach drop. "Why here?" "Because if anyone can handle it, the Council believes it is you." Pip met his eyes. "Or they want to see you fail. Either way, it arrives tomorrow." Devon looked at the wall, separating him from his 3 creatures. His responsibility. His pack. Tomorrow, that pack might grow by one nightmare. "Then we better get some sleep?" he said. Tomorrow is going to be interesting. Outside, in the cold black of space, a transport ship approached Station Omega. In its hold, secured by enough restraints to anchor a moon, something ancient stirred, something that planets feared, and Devon had just volunteered to be its keeper. The transport arrived at dawn, station time. Devon stood on the loading bay platform, watching as the massive container slowly lowered from the cargo ship. It was 3 times the size of the units housing Luna, Talon, and Brutus. Scorch marks scarred its surface. Dents suggested something inside had tried very hard to break free. Ambassador Drex stood nearby, his insectoid form clicking with what Devon had learned to recognize as satisfaction. Several other council members had gathered as well, including Elder Sura, an ancient aquatic being whose tank suit gurgled softly. Human Devon, Drex said, mandibles spreading in something like a smile. We bring you a gift, a true test of your abilities. That is one way to put it, Sura's translator bubbled. Another would be that we are asking you to house the galaxy's most feared predator. What happened to it? Devon asked, studying the container. Those burns are recent. It was found on the dead world of Helios 9, Kel explained. He had arrived with the transport, a planet dying from stellar radiation. The Devourer was attacking our research team. We defended ourselves. You attacked it while it was on a dying planet. Devon felt anger rising. Did it ever occur to you to ask why it was there? Devourers do not communicate, Drex snapped. They consume. They destroy. This is what they do. The container settled onto the platform with a thud that shook the deck. Devon approached slowly. Through a small viewport, he could see movement. Something huge. Pale scales. What looked like blade arms folded against a massive body. It is injured, Devon said. How badly? Badly enough that we could capture it, Kel said. One limb is shattered. Burns across 20% of its body. It has been sedated for transport, but will wake soon. And you want me to do what exactly? Keep it alive, Sura said. Study it. If it dies, it dies. If it escapes, you are responsible. If it somehow bonds to you like the others. The Elder's tentacles rippled. Then you are braver than anyone should be. Or stupider, Drex added. My vote is on stupider. Devon ignored him. I will need medical supplies, specialized equipment, and I work alone for the first assessment. Alone, Pip squeaked. She had been hiding behind a support pillar. You cannot be serious. The last thing an injured predator needs is a crowd, Devon said. Pip, monitor from the control room. If this goes bad, seal the bay and vent it to space. Do not try to rescue me. That is not comforting. 2 hours later, after the council members had left and the container had been moved to the largest containment bay, Devon began sedating the creature for transfer. The gas took longer than expected. Whatever the species was, it had serious resistance to chemical knockout. Finally, the massive form slumped. Devon directed automated systems to move it from the container to the medical area he had set up. When it finally lay under the lights, he got his first real look at it point 30 feet from head to tail. 6 limbs for walking, and 2 that looked like they could unfold into blade arms or manipulators. The head was angular, almost draconic, with swept-back horns. The pale scales shimmered with an inner light, like pearls, and it was clearly female. Oh no, Devon breathed. What? What is oh no? Pip's voice crackled over the comm. She is gravid, Devon said, examining the swollen abdomen. She has eggs. The pieces clicked together. A devourer on a dying planet. Not consuming it. Not destroying civilization. Nesting. Try to lay eggs. The species needed radiation, heat, certain minerals found only on dying worlds. And the council had attacked her while she was vulnerable. The burns were worse up close. Plasma weapons had seared through scales, cooking the flesh beneath. The right forelimb was indeed shattered, bones visible through torn tissue. How she had survived long enough to be captured was a mystery. Devon began working. First, the burns. He cleaned them, applied regenerative gel designed for high-mass species. Then the limb. Setting bones on a creature this size required hydraulic braces and a steady hand. The whole time, he talked to her. I'm sorry they did this to you, he said softly. You were just trying to protect your babies. I understand. I would do the same thing. Behind him, the door hissed open. Luna padded in, her spines lowered. She had somehow escaped her enclosure. Devin should have been worried, but instead, he felt grateful. She positioned herself between Devin and the Devourer's head. Standing guard. Good girl, Devin murmured. The work took 6 hours. By the end, the Devourer's limb was set, burns treated, and Devin had administered enough pain medication to knock out a wail. He sat back, exhausted, and nearly jumped when Luna pressed against his side. Thank you for the backup, he told her, the Devourer's eye opened. Just one, the other still swollen shut from burns. It was golden, with a slit pupil. It focused on Devin with terrifying intelligence. Devin did not move. Hey there. I know you're in pain. I'm trying to help. Can you understand me? The eye shifted to Luna, then back to Devin. A low rumble came from deep in the creature's chest. I know what happened on Helios 9, Devin continued. I know you were trying to nest. I am sorry they attacked you. Your eggs are safe. I will protect them, but I need you to trust me. The rumbling stopped. The Devourer's eye closed again. Whether in acceptance or exhaustion, Devin could not tell. Devin, Pip's voice was urgent. Kel is here. He says Council security detected your containment breach. Luna is not supposed to be in there. Tell him Luna is my assistant, Devin said. She's doing her job. He wants to talk to you. Now, Devin sighed, gave Luna a final pat, and headed for the control room. When he arrived, he found not just Kel, but Ambassador Drex and Elder Sura as well. The creature should be destroyed, Drex was saying. It carries eggs. Do you understand what that means? More of these monsters. It means new life, Devin countered. A species we barely understand. And you want to kill her because you are afraid. Afraid? Drex's mandibles clacked. Devourers have destroyed entire star systems. And humans have killed billions of their own kind in wars, Devin shot back. Should we be destroyed too? Or maybe we should try understanding before we start executing. Sura raised a tentacle. Peace. Devin raises a valid point. We know little about devourer reproduction. These could be the first eggs documented in 400 years, which is exactly why they should be destroyed, Drex insisted, before they hatch into more planet killers. She stays, Devin said firmly. She is under my protection now. The eggs stay too. You do not have the authority. Actually, he does, Kel said quietly. By accepting responsibility for her, Keeper Devin has invoked ancient protection laws. Unless she proves an active threat, she remains under his care. Drex turned to face Devin fully. You are making an enemy of the wrong people. Human. I have made enemies for less. After they left, Pip approached Devin carefully. That was either very brave or very stupid. Probably both, Devin admitted. He looked through the window at the Devourer, still sedated, Luna, still standing guard. But she was just protecting her children. How can I condemn her for that? Because her children might grow up to eat planets? Or they might not. We will never know if we kill them now. Devin rubbed his eyes. Get some rest, Pip. Tomorrow we see if she accepts me or decides I am a threat. That night, Devin did not sleep. He sat in the control room, monitoring the Devourer's vitals, watching Luna keep vigil. Somewhere in the creature's body, for eggs waited to be born. 4 lives, depending on him to choose compassion over fear and no pressure at all. The Devourer woke during the 3rd watch. Devin was dozing in a chair when the alarms blared. He was on his feet instantly, rushing to the containment bay. Through the window, he saw her thrashing, confused and in pain. Sedate her, Pip shouted from the control room. No. Devin was already at the door. She is disoriented. Sedation will make it worse. Let me in. That is suicide. Trust me. The door opened. Devin stepped through. The Devourer's golden eyes locked onto him immediately. She tried to rise, putting weight on the shattered limb. It buckled. She roared, a sound that shook the walls and set off more alarms. Devin walked forward slowly, hands visible, unthreatening. Hey, easy. You are okay. You are safe here. She swung her head toward him, jaws opening. He could see rows of teeth designed to tear through armor plating. One snap and he would be gone. I know you were scared, Devin said softly. I know everything hurts, but I helped you. Remember? I set your leg. I treated your burns. Your eggs are safe. At the word eggs, she paused. Her head lowered slightly. That is right. Your babies are still with you. Nothing will hurt them. I promise. Devin took another step. We need a rest. You need to heal. For them. The devourer made a sound, lower this time, almost questioning. I am Devin. I take care of creatures that others fear. Luna, talon, brutus. They trust me. Can you? For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the devourer lowered herself back down. She kept her eyes on Devin, but did not threaten. Testing him, waiting to see what he would do. Devin approached her injured limb. This is going to hurt. I need to check the setting. Can you let me do that? She did not move. Devin took that as permission. He examined the hydraulic brace, adjusted it slightly, and checked for infection. The whole time, the devourer watched him with those intelligent eyes. When he finished, Devin did something probably insane. He placed his hand on her snout. You did good. Rest now. I will call you Ghost. Because you are pale like one, and because you survived when you should not have. Ghost made that questioning sound again. Then, impossibly, she leaned into his touch. Okay. Pip's voice was shaky. I just watched you pet a planet killer. I need to rethink my life choices. Over the next 2 weeks, Ghost healed. Slowly, painfully, but steadily. Devin spent hours each day in her containment, changing bandages, adjusting the brace, talking to her. She never threatened him again. Luna often joined them, and Ghost seemed to accept the Shriek Hunter's presence. Talon was more cautious. He would glide around Ghost's containment during exercise periods, but kept his distance. Brutus, however, had no fear. The young stalker would curl up near Ghost's tail while she rested. She tolerated him with what Devin swore was amusement. Word spread through Station Omega. The human who tamed a devourer. People started coming to watch. At first, it was just curiosity. Then something changed that a youngling, no more than 5 in human years, pressed against the viewing window. His parent tried to pull him back, but the child pointed at Ghost. Pretty. Ghost turned her head, saw the child, and made a soft chirping sound. The child giggled. More families came. They watched Devin work with Luna, saw Talon perform aerial displays in the exercise chamber, laughed when Brutus played with oversized toys. They saw Ghost, the galaxy's nightmare, carefully moving her injured limb while Devin encouraged her. You are changing opinions, Sura told Devin during a visit. The elder's tank suit allowed him to observe from a safe distance. This is good, but be careful. Not everyone wants their opinions changed. Let me guess. Drex's allies. Powerful ones. They see humans as competition. Your success with Death World creatures threatens the narrative that humans are primitive. We are not primitive. We are adaptable. There is a difference. A difference that terrifies certain species. Sura's tentacles curled. Be watchful, keeper. Not all threats come with teeth and claws. That night, Devin was running final checks when Pip burst into the control room. We have a problem. A big one. How big? Station-wide broadcast big. Someone leaked footage of Ghost. Specifically, footage of her with her eggs visible. The whole station knows. Devin felt his stomach sink. What is the reaction? Panic. Calls for evacuation. Calls for Ghost to be destroyed. Drex is calling an emergency council session. Pip's fur was standing on end. They're going to force a vote. Either Ghost goes or you do. Maybe both. When? 48 hours. Devin looked through the window at Ghost. She was resting, her injured limb finally healing properly. In her abdomen, for eggs waited to be born. For lives that the galaxy wanted to destroy out of fear. Then we have 48 hours to change their minds, Devin said. How? You cannot exactly parade a devourer around the station. No, but I can show them what she really is. Devin pulled up his data files. I have been studying devourers since Ghost arrived. Their history, their biology. I think I know why they consume dying planets. He pulled up a holographic display. Devourers need specific radiation and minerals to reproduce. Those only exist on planets nearing stellar death. They are not destroying civilizations. They are nature's cleanup crew. They consume the last resources of dying worlds to create new life. That is not how the Council sees it, because the Council has never bothered to understand them. They just see monsters. Devin grabbed his data pad. We need to talk to Sura. If anyone will listen, it is her. Elder Sura listened to Devin's presentation in silence. When he finished, her tentacles writhed in what he had learned meant deep thought. This theory, you have evidence. Ghost is my evidence. She was nesting on Helios 9, a planet dying from solar radiation. She was not attacking the research team. She was defending her nesting site. Everything about Devour biology supports this. Their metabolism, their scales that absorb radiation, the egg structure. If this is true, we have persecuted an endangered species for millennia. Not just persecuted, hunted them to near extinction because we were afraid. Sura was quiet for a long moment. I will speak for you at the council session, but Drex has support. This will not be easy. Nothing worth doing is easy. The next 48 hours blurred together. Devin prepared his presentation, gathering every piece of data he could find. Pip helped, her archivist training proving invaluable. Luna seemed to sense his stress and stayed close. Talon brought him food, dropping it near his workstation. Brutus simply sat beside him, a comforting presence. Ghost watched it all from her containment. Devin visited her every few hours, checking her healing, talking to her about what was happening. She listened with those intelligent eyes, and he swore she understood. If this goes wrong, he told her on the night before the council session, they will try to take you. Try to take your eggs. I will not let them, even if it means losing everything. Ghost lowered her head and touched her snout to his chest. A gesture of trust. A bond. Yeah, Devin whispered. We are pack now. All of us. And I do not abandon my pack. The next morning, the station's commercial district exploded. The blast tore through 3 sections, causing hull breaches and fires. Hundreds were trapped. The evacuation sirens wailed. And in the chaos, someone would later discover that the explosion was not an accident. It was sabotage, timed perfectly to occur just before the council session. Timed to frame Devin's creatures as the threat the station needed to eliminate. The explosion shook Devin's facility. Alarm screamed. Through the viewport, he saw fire blooming in the commercial district. Smoke poured from breached sections. People were screaming. Structural collapse in sections 4 through 7. Pip shouted from her station. Multiple hull breaches. Emergency teams are responding, but they are overwhelmed. Devin ran to the control room. The display showed carnage. Hundreds of people trapped behind collapsed corridors. Fire spreading. The station's automated systems were failing in the damaged areas. Where is station security? Devin demanded. Evacuating council members. They are leaving everyone else. Pip's voice shook. Devin, people are dying. He looked at the containment displays. Luna passing. Talon agitated. Brutus watching him through the camera. Ghost standing despite her healing limb. Sensing the crisis, they could help. Luna's pack instincts and tracking abilities could find survivors in the smoke and debris. Talon could reach trapped areas through damaged sections. Brutus could clear obstacles. Ghost's size and strength could stabilize collapsing structures, but releasing them meant risking everything. If anything went wrong, if any civilian was hurt, the council would use it to destroy them all. Devin. Pip looked at him with wide eyes. What do we do? He thought about Earth, about the people he had worked with there, firefighters who ran into burning buildings, Coast Guard pilots who flew into hurricanes, people who risked everything to save others because it was the right thing to do. Open all containments, Devin said. What? You heard me. Open them. All 4. Devin, they will kill you. No, they will not. Because they are not monsters. They are pack. And right now, our pack needs to help. He grabbed his comm unit. Station-wide broadcast, Pip. Now. She entered the command with shaking hands. Devin's voice echoed through every speaker on Station Omega. This is Keeper Devin Reed. I am releasing my creatures to assist with rescue operations. Do not panic. They are here to help. If you see them, stay calm and follow their lead. They will not harm you. He looked at Pip. Stay here. Coordinate with emergency teams. Tell them where we are going. Where are you going? With my pack. The containment doors opened. Luna emerged first, spines lowered, eyes alert. She looked at Devin, and he pointed to the damaged sections. Find survivors. We need to help them. Luna understood. She howled once, then took off running. Talon glided out of his unit. Wing membrane fully healed now. He caught an updraft from the fires and soared toward the breach points. Brutus bounded out, eager and ready. He followed Devin as they ran toward the commercial district. Behind them, Ghost moved slower but determined. Her injured limb was still weak, but she pushed through the pain. They reached Section 4 first. The corridor had collapsed, trapping people behind tons of debris. Civilians saw them coming and screamed. Parents grabbed their children and ran. But an older woman, injured and unable to move, simply stared. "Please help us," she whispered. Devin knelt beside her. "I will. I promise." Brutus went to work on the debris. His armored head and shoulders made him a living battering ram. He pushed through twisted metal and concrete, creating a path. Luna appeared from a side passage, 3 younglings following her. She had found them in the smoke and led them to safety. "Pip, I need medical teams to Section 4, main corridor." Devin called into his comm while treating the older woman's leg. Talon swooped overhead, carrying emergency supplies in his claws. He dropped them near Devin and flew off to search for more survivors. Through the breach in the hull, Devin could see him gliding through space, using his optical camouflage to check damaged sections from outside. Ghost arrived, moving slowly but deliberately. A support beam was cracking, ready to collapse and crush a dozen people. She positioned herself beneath it and pushed upward with her good limbs. The beam groaned but held. People stared in shock as the galaxy's nightmare saved their lives. "Move," Devin shouted. "Get clear while she holds it." They ran. Families, workers, security personnel, all fleeing past the devourer who held tons of metal above her head. When the last person cleared, Ghost released the beam and moved away. It crashed down behind her. The rescue continued for hours. Luna's tracking found survivors others had missed. Talon delivered supplies and scouted dangerous areas. Brutus cleared paths through debris. Ghost stabilized structures and lifted obstacles too heavy for anyone else. And Devin coordinated it all, treating injured, directing his pack, working alongside station security who had finally returned to help that a fire blocked a corridor where children were trapped. The flames were too intense for anyone to approach. Ghost stepped forward. Her scales, designed to absorb radiation, could handle heat. She walked through the fire, her body shielding the exit. Devin followed in her shadow, reaching the children. "It is okay," he told them. "She is going to protect us. Hold hands and stay close." They walked out through the flames, Ghost's body taking the heat, the children clinging to Devin. When they emerged, their parents wept with relief. By the time the fires were contained and the breaches sealed, Ghost could barely stand. Her healing limb had reopened. New burns covered her scales. But she had saved dozens of lives. Luna had found 43 survivors. Talon had delivered emergency supplies to 6 different sections. Brutus had cleared 3 collapsed corridors. Together, they had rescued over 200 people. The station population had watched it all. The creatures they had feared, that they had called monsters, saving their families and friends. Children who had been trapped now pressed against viewing windows, trying to see the creatures who had saved them. Devin was treating Ghost's reopened wounds when Kell arrived with Elder Sura and station security. He expected arrests, expected to be dragged away. Instead, Kell simply said, "The council wishes to speak with you." "Am I under arrest?" "No, keeper. You're being thanked." The security chief, a grizzled veteran named Koss, approached Devin. "My grandson was in Section 6. Your void serpent found him and kept him calm until we could get there. I owe you a debt. You owe Talon. He did the work. Then I owe you both." Sura moved closer, her tank suit hissing softly. "We have found evidence. The explosion was sabotage. Planted charges, timed detonation. Someone wanted chaos during the council session." "Let me guess," Devin said, finishing Ghost bandages. Drex, we are investigating. But yes, evidence points to his faction. Sura's tentacles curled with anger. They wanted to frame your creatures. Instead, your creatures became heroes. Devin looked at his pack. Luna was resting, finally. Talon perched on a support beam, exhausted. Brutus had curled up near Ghost, keeping her company. Ghost herself watched Devin with those golden eyes, trusting him to fix her again. They are not heroes, Devin said. They are just good beings who did what needed doing. Anyone would have done the same. No, Koss said firmly. Most would have run. Your creatures ran toward danger to save strangers. That is heroism. Over the next days, everything changed. Families brought gifts to the facility. Flowers, food, art made by children showing Luna, Talon, Brutus, and Ghost. The creatures that had been called monsters were now the station's protectors. Drex was arrested. His conspiracy to frame Devin and start a war with Earth was exposed. Other council members involved were removed from power. And the council vote that had been scheduled, it was unanimous. Earth was granted full membership. Devin was offered a position as chief ambassador for Death World Species Relations. But more important, Ghost's eggs were protected, recognized as endangered and valuable. Her species was reclassified from threat to endangered, with protection laws enacted. You changed the galaxy, Pip told Devin as they watched visitors outside the facility. I just showed them the truth, Devin replied. That every creature deserves a chance, even the scary ones. Ghost chirped softly from her containment. Luna answered with a low howl. Talon and Brutus added their voices. A chorus of creatures that should never have worked together, now family. Devin smiled. His pack was complete, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 months after the rescue, life on Station Omega had settled into a new normal. Devin's facility had been upgraded, expanded, properly funded. What had been a rundown industrial space was now a proper care center with medical bays, exercise chambers, and observation areas. Luna had become something of a station mascot. Children visited weekly to watch her during exercise periods. She seemed to enjoy the attention, performing tricks and showing off her crystalline spines. She had even allowed a few brave younglings to touch her head through supervised interactions. Talon had discovered he liked showing off. His aerial displays in the main chamber drew crowds. He would weave through obstacles, demonstrate his camouflage, and occasionally steal snacks from Devin's pockets mid-flight. Brutus had grown. He was nearly full-size now, his armor plates thick and gleaming. But he still followed Devin like a puppy, still played with oversized toys, still curled up for naps in the sunlight. Ghost had healed. Her limb was strong again. Burns faded to pale scars across her scales. But for the past week, she had been agitated, restless. Devin knew what it meant. The eggs were ready. Pip was running final checks on the medical equipment when Ghost made a sound Devin had never heard before. A deep, resonating call that vibrated through the facility. Luna, Talon, and Brutus all responded, moving to Ghost's containment area. It is starting, Devin said. Devourer egg-laying was supposed to be fatal. The species transferred life energy directly to the eggs. Every recorded case had ended with a mother's death. But Devin had spent months preparing for this moment. He had consulted with xenobiologists across the galaxy. He had experimental equipment ready. And he had hope. Medical team standing by, Pip reported. Elder Sura had sent the best specialists. They waited outside the containment area, ready but hesitant. No one had ever tried to save a devourer through egg-laying before. Devin entered Ghost containment alone. She was on her side, breathing heavily. Her golden eyes found him, filled with pain and trust. I am here, Devin said softly, kneeling beside her massive head. You are not doing this alone. The first egg came an hour later. It was massive, nearly 3 feet long, covered in scales that already shimmered with inner light. Ghost's body shuddered with the effort. Devin monitored her vital signs, watching them drop dangerously low. Now, he shouted. The medical team rushed in with the experimental equipment. Energy stabilizers designed to slow the life transfer. Metabolic supplements to support Ghost's failing systems. It was all theoretical. None of it had been tested. Ghost cried out as the second egg emerged. Her scales were losing their shimmer. The life was draining from her to fuel the eggs, just as nature intended. "Come on, Ghost," Devin whispered, holding her head. "Stay with me. Your babies need you." "I need you." Luna pressed against Ghost's side, offering what comfort she could. "Talon tirge don Ghostes milde." Brutus lay near her tail. The whole pack gathered, refusing to let her face this alone. The third egg came. Ghost's breathing was shallow. Her eyes were closing. "We are losing her," a medic shouted. "No." Devin grabbed the stabilizer controls, pushing them beyond safe levels. "You are not leaving them. You are not leaving us." The equipment hummed with dangerous energy. It was experimental, potentially deadly. But Ghost was dying anyway. The fourth egg emerged. Ghost went completely still. For a terrible moment, Devin thought they had lost her. Then the stabilizers kicked in fully. Energy flowed back into Ghost's body. Not enough to reverse what had been taken, but enough to sustain her. Her eyes opened slowly. "You did it," Devin breathed. "You survived." The medical team worked for hours, stabilizing Ghost, monitoring the eggs. By the time they finished, news had spread across the station. The first devourer in recorded history to survive egg-laying. Kel visited the next day, finding Devin asleep in a chair beside Ghost's containment. The 4 eggs were arranged near her, carefully monitored. She had one wing arm extended over them protectively. "You have done something remarkable, Keeper," Kel said quietly. Devin woke, blinking. "Just doing my job." "Your job was to keep dangerous creatures contained. You have created family." Over the following weeks, visitors came from across the galaxy. Scientists studying the eggs. Politicians praising Devin's work. Other keepers from other worlds wanting to learn his methods. Earth's ambassador contacted Devin personally. "You have made us proud. The Council wants to expand your work. Create similar facilities on other stations. Would you be interested in heading that program?" "Only if I can stay hands-on here," Devin replied. "These 4 are my responsibility. The galaxy is calling you a hero, you know. I'm not a hero. I am a zookeeper with stubborn animals." Ghost's eggs hatched 6 months later. Devin was there for all 4. The first baby emerged during morning rounds, breaking through the shell with tiny claws. It was no bigger than Devin's hand, covered in soft scales that would harden over time. Ghost nuzzled her baby gently. The tiny devourer chirped, a sound impossibly cute from a species that had terrified the galaxy. By the end of the day, all 4 had hatched. 2 males, 2 females. Ghost gathered them close, and for the first time, Devin saw her make a sound like contentment. The station held a celebration. Families brought their children to see the baby devourers through the viewing windows. The creatures that had once been called planet killers were now the station's treasure residents. Luna played gently with the babies when Ghost allowed it. Talon brought them bits of food, teaching them to catch. Brutus guarded them fiercely, as if they were his own siblings. Elder Sura visited on the day the facility was officially renamed. The Apex Sanctuary now hung above the main entrance, a place where the galaxy's most misunderstood creatures could find safety and care. "You have changed how we see Death World species," Sura told Devin. "Other facilities are adopting your methods. Creatures once killed on site are now being studied, understood, protected." "That is all I wanted," Devin said, watching Ghost play with her babies. "Understanding instead of fear. What you do now? Your work here is famous. You could go anywhere, do anything." Devin smiled. "I'm going to stay right here. These 5 need me, and I have a feeling more creatures will need help soon." He was right. A week later, Kel contacted him with news of another creature. Something dangerous, something misunderstood, something that needed the one person in the galaxy who saw past fangs and claws to the being beneath. As Devin prepared for the new arrival, Pip approached with a data pad. "We are getting requests from 20 different stations. Everyone wants to send you their problem creatures. Then I guess we need to expand. You're going to turn this whole station into a zoo, are you not?" "Not a zoo," Devin corrected. "A sanctuary. There's a difference." That evening, Devin stood in the observation area, watching his pack. Luna trained with station security, teaching them about threat assessment. Talon performed for children who visited daily. Brutus played with the baby devourers while Ghost supervised. For creatures that should have been killed, now thriving. Now changing the galaxy's perception one day at a time. He thought about Earth, about the mountains of Montana where this journey had started, about the choice he had made to volunteer for the gauntlet, about surviving the impossible. The trial had been meant to kill him. 24 hours later, he was running a zoo of apex nightmares. And somehow, impossibly, it had become the best job in the galaxy. Luna howled softly from her enclosure. The others answered. Ghost babies chirped. The sound of family, of pack, of creatures who had found home. Devin smiled and pulled out his comm unit. Time to see what new challenge the universe was sending his way. Because that was the thing about sanctuary work. There was always someone who needed help. Always another creature that the galaxy had given up on. And Devin Reed never gave up on anyone. The message opened. Another dangerous species. Another planet killer that just needed understanding. Another chance to prove that compassion worked even in the darkest corners of space. Pip, Devin called. Clear out Base 7. We have a new guest arriving tomorrow. What is it this time? Something called a rift stalker. Apparently, it can phase through solid matter and has been terrorizing a mining colony. And you think you can help it? Devin looked at Ghost, playing gently with her impossible babies. At Luna, who had gone from trial weapon to beloved guardian. At Talon and Brutus, who had found purpose and joy. Yeah, he said, I think I can. Because that was what keepers did. They saw past the monster to the being beneath. They chose understanding over fear. They built bridges where others built walls. And sometimes, if they were very lucky and very stubborn, they created family from nightmares. The Apex Sanctuary was more than a facility now. It was proof that every creature, no matter how dangerous or misunderstood, deserved a chance. And Devin Reed was going to make sure they got it 0.1 Apex Nightmare at a time.